welcome to my shop. My name is Jason Meneely, and I have a hobby, I like to call it an out-of-control hobby, of wood turning. So I am a hobbyist turner. I've been doing it for about 7 years, but really aggressively. I am a professor that teaches architecture and interior design courses, been doing that for 30 years, and I hope to share some of my design insights from that background and how I apply them to turning. So I'll be doing 3 presentations at the Florida Wood Turning Symposium in 2026. The first one is learning to turn tall. I think a lot of times we like to max out our lathes in terms of diameter, but the other thing you can think about is how can we start expressing verticality in our wood turnings. And so I'll talk about techniques I use for creating very tall, narrow hollow forms. Sometimes we'll call them long neck hollow forms. Here's another example right here. The technique I'll be showing primarily is what we call reverse hollowing, where we actually go in through the bottom of the turning rather than through the neck, which gives us lots of benefits. Only needing one tool rather than multiple curved tools to get in there to access it. It also allows us for very beautiful small openings in the top. When we're all done, we plug the bottom, as you see in this example. This technique allows us not only to do tall hollow forms, but we can also do more squat hollow forms with very small lips. Again, when you're all done, you don't see the fact that you've turned from the bottom. My second presentation that I'll be focusing on will be color theory, and not just the theory, but how I go about applying color to wood turnings. Color is one of those challenging things that trying to mix colors can be complex, and trying to use color in a very effective way has a lot of challenges to it, and I hope to break down some of those challenges. We're going to learn about the 3 dimensions of color, so you can actually control color mixing as you apply color to your turnings, and I'll also show how I use color to accentuate form. So you can see a couple examples in this case where I was using color to really expand the shape of this sort of balloon shaped turning by letting it go lighter at the side and darker towards the top. I've also used color to accentuate some spalted wood and do some variations in that way. So a lot to talk about color. You can get into some beautiful jewel tones. I'll also talk about how I go about doing a very high gloss finish to accentuate some of these pieces. My third presentation, I will be talking about what is good design and what specifically makes for good design when we are trying to create wood turnings. And pretty much what I'll be focusing on are a couple things. We'll be talking about how to make a good curve. What really goes into a beautiful aesthetic curve. And we'll really break it down, and then I'll demonstrate on the lathe how I sort of easily repeat and my approach to creating nice, beautiful curves on the lathe. The second thing we'll talk about during this presentation is we'll really delve into this notion of proportion. Proportion is sort of also a little bit tricky when it comes to things. Some people naturally see good proportion when they look at things and they sort of intuit it. I'm going to bring in a little bit of theory to help those of us who have more of a challenge with laying out proportion. We'll talk about things such as the Greek golden section, or you might hear it called the golden mean. You don't have to be an ancient Greek to understand this stuff. You might have to be a geek, but we'll talk about that later. But we will get into how to lay out in my approach for using proportion. We'll talk about other things such as the rule of thirds, and how the rule of thirds is actually based on loosely the idea of the golden section. And we'll talk about why the golden section works, more importantly. So you really have an operational understanding of what's going on with that. So again, I'm excited to be presenting and demoing at the Florida Wood Turning Symposium. It's going to be happening in February of 2026. The date is February 20th and 22nd at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, Florida. And I look forward to seeing you there, and I hope you come out. I'm going to be geared up to make the best possible presentations for you guys, and really looking forward to a great time. Thanks, and we'll see you there.